Good morning and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment hearings for Urban Panel 3. Actually, it's Rural Panel 3. We are City of Ottawa quasi-judicial tribunal that holds public hearings to consider Planning Act applications, including minor variances to the zoning requirements and consent to several land. Our hearings are now in person at Ben Franklin Place, 101 Center Point Drive. We also enable remote participation by video conferencing for our registered speakers. We are live streaming on YouTube and the video will be archived and available for future viewing by the public. My name is Terry Otto. I'll be chairing today's hearings and you can address me by my name or as chair. And with me are my fellow panel members, Martin Vervoort, Jocelyn Chandler, Gary Duncan. Beth Henderson is unavailable today. The procedure for the hearings will be as follows. Listed on the agenda and appearing on the screen from time to time are the applications we'll hear today. For the sake of efficiency, I may deal with agenda items in a different order. Panel members have reviewed the planning reports and any written submissions in support or in opposition to each of the applications. Today, we'll hear any oral submissions relating to the applications. As part of the statutory public notification requirements, each applicant was required to post a sign on the property in the question before the hearing. They also had to confirm in writing that they did so, or they'll need to swear or affirm an oath today that they've fulfilled the sign posting. Otherwise, we may have to adjourn or postpone the hearing. The panel may ask for a brief presentation of an application followed by questions for the applicant and city planning staff. We will then hear from members of the public who have registered to speak, and we may also have questions for them. Finally, the applicant, who has the burden of proof, will have an opportunity to make final comments and reply. Please address your comments to me as the chair, starting with your name and spelling it if necessary, and your municipal address for the record. All presentations are limited to 5 minutes. Any exceptions will be at my discretion. At the end of the hearing, the panel may either make an oral decision or we may reserve our decision, which means it won't be delivered today. In either case, and within 10 days, the Committee of Adjustment will send the official written decision and reasons for it to all the parties, participants, and anyone else who has requested a copy. Does anyone have any questions about the procedure we will be following today? All right, then. We have several applications here today, but some first. We need to deal with some preliminary and procedural matters. Are there any declarations of interest?
Application B00248 at 4715 Birchgrove.
Thank you. We have confirmation of previous minutes. I believe there are none to confirm today, so we will skip that. Withdrawal or adjournment requests we'll be dealing with first. The committee has received a request to adjourn, which means to postpone to a different day the hearing for item number. We have several. The first one is number 1, 5190 McCarty Road. The application has been requested, or the adjournment is requested by planning. Planning, we have comments, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So staff are requesting an adjournment of this one just because we have some internal work to do regarding the official plan policy for rural severances. I believe it's 92331. It has to do with the property having frontage on a open and maintained public road. So we've discussed with the applicant, but we just have some internal work to do before we move forward with it.
Thank you very much. And I believe the applicant is in agreement with the adjournment request. Just your name would be fine. Thank you. Then the item is adjourned to a date of when?
We were requesting the next hearing.
Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just for the record, the adjournment request would be to the following hearing. I believe 2 weeks is adequate. We simply need to discuss the matter with staff and have them, as Mr. Teef mentioned, do their correspondence internally. So I think it can be easily resolved. It's just a matter of allowing for that time so that we're not hashing things out here on the floor. Thank you.
That sounds very good. Martin?
Just a question with respect to the timing of the adjournment. Will a minor variance be needed as well for this or not? Because if it is, then I'm just wondering if 2 weeks is realistic.
So we are going to be discussing what exactly we're looking for just with legal at the moment. And we'll be discussing with the applicant if anything additional is needed. We'll know by then.
Thank you.
Okay, then, everyone in favor of adjourning this till November the 19th, I think it is?
November 18th, Mr. Chair.
18th? Your application's adjourned until the 18th of February. Thank you. Or November, sorry.
Thank you.
Item number 2, Jonathan. Item number 2 is to deal with 4715 Birchgrove Road. That is also an adjournment request by planning. Comments from planning, please?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Yes, staff are requesting adjournment of this application. It had been previously heard at the January 16th hearing. We had requested adjournment from that hearing for the proponent to submit an MRIA and a revised EIS. At this time, we have reviewed and approved the submitted MRIA. However, we have not received a revised EIS at this time. So that is the reason for requesting an adjournment.
Thank you. And representative for 4715 Birchgrove? Have a chair, please. And turn your mic on if possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So again, my name is Richard Trombley. I object to having this adjourned. I believe that the city planners have the documents on hand to be able to sort this out. I mean, in all due respect, I'm not prepared that they oblige me to accept the condition to having to build in on the front of the property. My EIS states that there is actually no potential future development on the severed parcel, nor to negatively impact the existing natural features or ecology functions. So I've already provided an EIS. The only issue they wanted me to revise it is to force me to build on the front of the property, which I am not prepared to accept that condition.
Okay, so you want to be heard today then?
Yes, I want to be heard today.
All right, then we will set this down and we'll deal with it in order.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The third item is item number 7, 2450D 6th Line Road. Planning.
Thank you, Chair. Staff requests an adjournment on this application because additional variance is needed because the property does not have frontage on a public road as per section 59 of the zoning bylaw. And also because environmental impact assessment is needed because the property is on natural heritage system overlay.
Thank you. And the representative for 2450D 6th Line.
Hi, this is Evan Coburn. Yeah, it was brought up kind of last minute. We do agree if necessary, and we'll provide what is needed. From what I understand, we need to provide additional minor variance application. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so I guess the information that I would need is just when the additional hearing would be, and we'll submit the documentation right away as soon as possible would be best on our end, and we're just hoping to get this resolved quickly.
Well, the question is roughly how much time do you think you'll need? Because whether people are busy or Planning, have you got any concern or ideas of how long it would take?
Can I take a moment, Chair?
Mr. Verboer?
I was just gonna say, I think we need an EIS as well as a minor variance application, so I'm wondering if it wouldn't make, like, those should be heard together, the minor variance and the proposed consent, so I'm just wondering if we shouldn't adjourn sine die until everything is ready to go.
Okay. Planning, have you got a comment?
Yes, Chair. We would need to confirm with the environmental planner to see how long it might take for the environmental impact assessment to be reviewed, and if an additional variance would be needed, in our opinion, it would need to be adjourned sine die.
Thank you. Well, in that case, we will adjourn this sine die. Everybody's in favor? Okay, thank you very much. Now to our regular.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, there does appear to be a Paul online that one has their hand raised to speak to this application.
Okay. Is that Mr. Coburn?
No, I believe it's Paul Keeley. He's the owner of the company. So
Hi,
he must try.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I just had a problem with the microphone there. I just have I was looking into this reason for adjournment, and I don't understand it. I don't think it actually applies to our situation. For the reason of the reason for adjournment, let me just pull up for frontage on a public street, section 59. On section 59-5, it says, it reads, despite subsections 1, 2, and 3, the following are deemed to be improved public streets for the purpose of this section. And an improved public street says that it can be a private way within a planned unit development that complies with the planned unit development provisions. So I think that stipulation should provide no reason for adjournment, because there is six properties that this road serves. They're all built, fully registered properties. So if it's being asked to adjourn because of this existing road in place, it doesn't really make any sense, because this subdivision of property is already built. It's been built for a long time, and extremely confusing why this is a reason for adjournment.
Well, I can see you're confused. I'm confused. Ms. Chandler, do you have a comment?
I understand the question, but a planned unit development is a very specific process and application, and it doesn't apply to an older subdivision. It's something that you would see in a very new block of land and a formal way of dividing it up. So that's not an exception that we can apply in this circumstance.
So what would this, like, what's this road referred to as then? Is it an illegal road?
You could ask planning, but I suspect it's just.
Because it's being served, it's serving 5 other properties, and the owner of the property with respect to our application owns property on both sides of this road. So to hold an application up for a project that the customer taxpayer is very interested in building this year for this reason seems a little bit absurd. This is gonna delay a project almost a full 6 months for a reason of a private roadway that's already existing, serving 5 other City of Ottawa properties, already built, already occupied. And the road that serves all these other properties passes directly through a property that is owned by the applicant for this project on 2450 Line Road.
Oh.
I want to follow we
Yeah.
want to follow the process, obviously, but this seems really ridiculous to hold up a building permit for these reasons.
Regardless of the ridiculousness or not, it's a requirement, that it's a box that has to be checked. And I think you can get an explanation about the status of the road from planning staff. My guess is it's a city-owned right-of-way that's not opened. But I'm sure that's sort of the reason that you need to set this application down, to understand that and see what process you need to go through to have relief from that requirement. It's not something that we have a choice about applying or not.
Well, I guess due to the, does anyone here agree that a private road that's already existing, serving 6 other properties, is not going to prevent the property owners from building a house on their property that is accessible by the same roadway?
Well, you said it yourself, sir. It's a private roadway, and the bylaw says that it has to be a municipal open road. And that's the issue that we're wanting to set this aside for, which we basically have already adjourned at sine die until you brought this up. And there's also the issue of the EIS, which has to be done. So that's going to take some time. I would strongly recommend that you set this down, sine die, and have further discussions with planning to find out exactly what the issue is, because we don't know. And we have to have this clear before you can proceed any further.
I think if everyone was down on this property, looking at this road serving 5 other properties, and like wondering why that it's preventing an application from going forward, is just going to confuse everyone even further. I guess due to this nature, is there any way we can expedite this process?
Well, you can't receive a building permit until this process is completed. So I would suggest that you accept the adjournment and get on with dealing with planning and getting this issue solved as soon as you can. And that's basically all I can say.
Can planning give any kind of timeline, how quickly we can deal with this?
Mr. Chair, I would just say we're not here to give legal advice. The applicant should discuss this with planning rather than having a debate here. I think we've made
That's
our
right.
decision to adjourn the matter sine die, and the applicant can certainly reach out to planning for those answers to those questions that he has.
So, sir, that concludes the discussion today. It's adjourned until for sine die. Thank you for your input, and I'm aware of your concerns, but there's really nothing we can do about that right now. So moving on to our regular agenda now. We have all right, now turning to the applications that are before us today, we first deal with some unopposed applications that are straightforward, recommended for quick approval, or if there are no objections. Is there anyone here wishing to hold item number 5190 McCarty Road? No, sorry. Number 3. Item number 3, 930 Smith. Is there anyone wishing to hold that up? If not, Do we have approval for item number 3? Item number 3 is approved. The next one is item number 4, 6115, Prince of Wales. Does anyone wish to hold that up? Seeing no one opposed. Item number 4, 6115, Prince of Wales is approved. Item number 5, 2293 Edward Kidd Road. Does anyone wish to hold that up? Seeing no one in opposition, members of the panel, approved. And item number 6, 3423 Torbolton Ridge Road. Does anyone wish to hold that up? Seeing no opposition, panel. Item number 6 is approved. Thank you very much. So now we have to go back to. Item number 2, Mr. Tremblay, would you please come up and take the mic? Please reintroduce yourself.
Yeah, Richard Trombley, owner of 4715 Birchgrove Road.
Thank you. Would you like to make a presentation?
Well, it's more of a statement. I believe I've given all the documents required for an accepted severance to the city, and the exception of the revised EIS. And again, I can state why I don't think a revised IIS is required. Right now, the one that they have on hand covers pretty well the intent. Right, during the discussions with the city, well, first I revised the EIS I have proves that there'll be no negatively impact to the natural features or ecology function. So that's the recommendation from my existing one. The revised one wouldn't be any different. Plus, during the various correspondence that I've had with the city planning folks, there's always been, the language has always been that the development envelope should be located closer to the road. The staff would like to see it, the development close to the road. So they would like to see it there. It would be preferable to see it in the front of the road. Again, they recommend to have it, close to the road, but there's nowhere written in the codes or in the bylaws that it must be located on the front of the road. And this is where my ESA that the city has on hand is accurate, which shows the development site to be a little further back, offset it from the front of the road. Also, during the process of the various correspondence I've had with the city, somehow the development site turned from a minimum size of 0.2 hectares to adversely to a maximum of 0.2 hectares because of the restraint they were kind of zero in on, forced me to build on the front of the road. So they've actually changed the a lot of, I guess, development size to 0.2 as a maximum as opposed to a minimum. But I have correspondence from the city that originally it was a minimum of 0.2 hectares. And right now my EIS shows that the development site should be about 0.3 hectares. Also, it's to be noted that the areas for which I plan to develop is 0.3 hectares. It's really specifically stated in my EIS that the city has on page 3, paragraph 3, actually, the last line item on paragraph 3 of my EIS, that the forest has been seriously negatively impacted by the derecho in 2022. The trees, they're all uprooted, they're laying down. There's no more forest, right, in that location. And the trees are dead. So I don't know what the city is trying to protect by saying I must develop in the front of the property to preserve the forest. In that area, there's no more forest, right? So I don't know what, you know, I seem to be missing the concept of wanting to protect the forest, because right now it's laying down and it's dead. And it's actually a nuisance, and it's a fire hazard and needs to be cleaned up, which I fully intend to do. Also, it's kind of odd that the property is zoned RU, and forced me to develop maximum 0.2 hectares in the front of the property when there's, you know, it's zoned for either I could, you know, if I wish to, build a group home, a bed and breakfast, agricultural reuse. That would not be achievable in this 0.2 hectares in the front of the property. So it kind of contravenes the zoning, the requirements the city are forcing me to accept, right? Also, when I purchased the land, I believe I submitted a picture of a posting that it was on the property when I purchased the land. Posting is from the, I guess, the Ministry of Natural Resources of Ontario. And it says that the forest on this private land is managed by the owner in cooperation with the Ministry of Natural Resources. So the forest on this, actually it says the forest on this private land is managed by the owner, which I provided a picture. I believe you guys have this. I fully intend to manage the forest. Like I just mentioned, I fully intend on, you know, cleaning up the dead trees. And because there's a lack of trees, and my intention when I first bought this forest was to have a forest, and I fully intend to plant more trees, actually. So it's just the issue of having to develop the front of the property that seems to be, you know, a hiccup, if you want to call it that.
Okay, thank you very much. Your time is up. Planning?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Tremblay, for your comments. So to start, we have received the EIS, and the major issue, as Mr. Tremblay has notified, is the proposed development envelopes in the EIS. So the EIS shows development envelopes that are quite large, and then it specifies that not all of the area would be used for development. This has been flagged by our environmental planner as an issue, as development envelopes are supposed to be very specific in terms of where they are located and shown in the EIS to have some sort of appreciation for what part of the lands will be developed and impacted by the development of the properties. And yes, it is our standard practice to require the 0.2 hectare maximum for the development envelope. This is a size that our environmental planners have come up with, and is based on the typical development patterns that we've seen is necessary for the dwelling itself, any associated structures, the septic tank and the well. Everything can be neatly placed within that 0.2 hectare development envelope, and that is why we are requiring the EIS to be revised in such a fashion. Furthermore, just to touch on why an EIS was required here, the whole property is designated as Natural Heritage Systems Core Area, which is our most highly protected designation for natural heritage systems. And the reason why we would like the development close to the road is so we're not spanning deep into this naturally protected area any deeper than we should be. And furthermore, it's just good development practice as well to have all of the houses sort of similar setbacks to the road, so you're not necessarily set back, you know, closer to somebody's backyard and overlooking into their backyard in such a development pattern, if you will. So those are the main concerns with the EIS, and really we we have not accepted the EIS as a result of these proposed development envelopes. And without seeing the revisions, I don't believe that our environmental planner could accept the EIS as it's currently in its current form.
Can I comment?
Comment,
Page,
sure.
page 15 actually outlines the area for which, on my EIS, for which I intend to, use as, development area compared to the, the balance of the property. So, it's wrong by saying that I haven't outlined, very specifically where, the outline of the intended, development area to be.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Verwoerd, do you have any suggestions or ideas?
Just a initial question for planning. So it looks like the forest has been substantially disturbed in this area. Does that influence planning department's view on the proposed development envelopes?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Vervoort. So our environmental planner has reviewed the pictures submitted by Mr. Tremblay, and he agrees that there is some significant damage to the trees. However, it is his professional opinion that this does not take away from the designation of core heritage, or sorry, core area, natural heritage system core area, and the overall function of the designation. So ultimately, although he recognizes the damage, he doesn't think that the damage ceases the function of this area.
And then with respect to the size of the development envelopes, I don't believe that's an official plan policy, but that's sort of a city internal policy. Is that correct? Or a best
Yes,
practice policy? Is that-
that's correct, Mr. Vervoort. It's not an official plan policy. However, it is our current operating practice.
And then just a question for Mr. Tremblay. If the your current proposed development envelopes were to remain, would it be acceptable to you to reduce them to 0.2 hectares?
I would be willing to consider if it would ever be permitted to build further back. Yes.
Thank you. Those are my only questions.
Any final comments, Mr. Tremblay? Thank you very much. You want to reserve this? Or? All right, we're going to reserve this decision, so that means we'll be making the decision in private and we'll inform you within the standard time. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you, planning. That's it, right? That concludes the hearing for today. Thank you very much for everybody's participation and discussion. Meeting is adjourned after we make our final decision.